Presented by Yellowwood, Peter Burns and Chris Doring. And you and I have been talking about this for a while, is that everyone wants to talk about Alabama, everyone wants to talk about Florida and how Georgia was playing. But there was this team that was just kind of rising and getting better every single week. And we saw this over the last couple of years, and that was Texas A&M. And we saw that come to probably the most complete game under Jimbo Fisher against South Carolina and Columbia.
They looked really efficient throughout the entire game offensively. The defense was lights out, and they do seem to be getting better and better, and I'm not sure that people are giving them the due that they deserve at this point.
Does it matter? We'll ask the head coach right now, Jimbo Fisher, joining us here on SEC this morning. Coach, let's start with that, about how do you keep a team that's starting to round into shape grounded so you still have success going forward?
Well, you remind them why you're having success. And like I tell them, if you say you're running a 100-meter dash and at the 60-meter mark, whatever place you're in and where you're at doesn't really matter. No, it matters how you finish the race. And you continually pound it. And it's hard because of media today and your social media and all the things you hear, but you just got to keep reinforcing why are people talking about you? Why are you playing as well as you play? It's because you're preparing well, you're getting ready to play, you're taking care of your body, doing all the things you got to do, and you just constantly got to remind them of that.
You know, Coach, you talked this week about the importance of blocking out the clutter. I thought you guys did that. But the thing that stands out to me, it looks like you guys are just having a lot of fun. I know winning is fun, having success is fun. But overall, what's the mood like around the facility right now with this win streak you've been on?
The same thing. I mean, it's a very business-like work ethic, but it's what I think you're learning to understand. And if you were a great player yourself and how y'all had those great winning streaks, we love to win on Saturday. But it was fun to go to practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's no practice. They say, well, it's not fun. It is fun. When you're having success and you're good at something, you like doing it. And you're having success at it. Guys are understanding now, as I connect. Some kids today don't connect the dots. Well, man, I play well because I practice well. People think that's very obvious. Well, it's not. I mean, people don't realize that kids don't really truly understand and buy into all the time that, because I go practice well, I play, it doesn't guarantee you having success. But when you're practicing well and you're playing well and all those things, those dots are connecting, it makes it fun to go to work and put in the work because you know hopefully what the results can be.
Coach, you brought up a good point about social media and how the media talks about stuff. And there were a lot of people saying, hey, after A&M lost to Alabama, all right, what's happening here in College Station? How important was that week of practice leading into the Florida game kind of lead you to the success that you've had over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think it was very important. But if you go back and watch the Alabama game, and I say this all the time, they hit us with big plays on offense. I mean, and Waddle, the most explosive player in college football. It's a shame he's out of the game because of what he really was, and he was dynamic. But, they didn't run the ball powerfully. I mean, Alabama's a great team. I'm not taking anything away, but we played the run. They hit us with the explosive plays. Offensively, we only punted twice. We moved the ball up and down the field, and we took those films and said, listen, a lot of these were self-inflicted wounds. Alabama had a lot. They're a great team. I don't mean that. But we built off of that. That's laid on the line. We went and had a great practice, and then we pulled out the game in Florida. We played a great game in Florida, and they saw how those things can happen. And at the first games or two, a lot of the issues we had were our own self-inflicted wounds, and we pushed through that with the maturity and leadership of the team.
I know. I'm tempted to want to go offense here, Coach, but I think we need to focus on the defense because they were just lights out on that side of the ball. To start the game, 4 straight punts, an interception, and then a missed field goal that you forced there in the first half. When you talk about defense and the importance of them being the ones that come out and set the tone, you guys are now the number one team in the SEC in total defense. What are you seeing from those guys on that side of the ball, and what's the catalyst for that improvement and dominance up front?
I think it matters that the guys who put their hand in the dirt, when they can dominate up front, I mean, they can cause disruption, they can cause chaos. It all starts, I don't care how skilled you are, you got to block the guys up front. And when you have to have extra guys to block them, it helps you double cover guys. It helps you do things on things, or you can put pressure on the quarterback. So I think it does start up front. I think we're doing a better job in the secondary with calls. Backers are getting better on the crossing combinations and all the man combinations that are coming out with what they're doing. And again, just the consistency and just keep plugging along. And our younger players are developing. Some of our young freshmen providing depth, providing things that are going on and getting quality reps and being very good, which are taking a lot of pressure off the older guys, giving them fewer reps, which helps them be fresher in the game. The accumulation of things.
Coach,
and our staff, our staff's doing a great job. Elko and the staff, Mike's doing a great job.
Yeah, and you talk about that, just the development of younger players, something that a lot of people saw over the last couple years, and now it's coming into fruition as his team's rounding into shape. Isaiah Spiller has been fantastic. What's his status after getting a little bit banged up in that game?
He was fine. He was ready to come back in, but we wanted to give a change some work. He was playing really well and was staying hot, was moving the football, and he was fine. He was in treatment yesterday. I mean, just a little nick and knack like you get during the season, but he's fine. He could have played in the game.
His play this year has been tremendous. I go back to last year, maybe got thrust into action a little sooner than you would have liked in terms of carrying the workload on the ground. But what have you seen from his improvement? How is he a better overall player, not just runner, but a receiver out of the backfield where he's been an impact player?
Well, we're trying to impact that on him. I mean, listen, a running back in today's time, the versatility is what's going to make your value go up, and showing him that with what's going on in the pro game and things that are going on. But what we need is a team, because mismatches, backs on backers, tight ends on safeties, receivers on nickels. I mean, those are matchups too, besides wideouts on corners. And that's just how the game is played. I think, the competition level, the young guys coming in that are doing that, and I think his maturity and growing is in his own mind of understanding that, because last year he got thrown in. He started coming in, second game of the year, our big back gets hurt, and he gets thrown into it, and it's like he's just trying to survive, let alone learn everything. And I think he just grasping that, understanding that, and he in understanding that if you don't too, we got other good players that we have to put in roles like that. So if you want to stay on the field, you have to do that. And he's grasping, and he definitely has the ability to do it.
Kind of scary when you're saying he's just grasping it, and thinking that when he finally gets it, what's he's going to be like. When you start looking at the road ahead, Coach, and I know coaches don't do this, but we do it here in the media. This is a schedule that can play itself out. When you look at Tennessee coming in next week, what is something that you want A&M to improve on overall as a team, even coming off the heels of a 45-point victory?
I think enhancement of starting fast, playing stronger. I think we got to keep our dominance in the offense and defensive line, and what we got. There's still a lot of little things in there we can clean up. I still think there's some, and Kellen's playing really well, but I still think there's a couple situations there, some shot plays and things in our decision that we can get the ball to some guys. We got to keep distributing the ball around the clock. I mean, not just, and you see it, our receivers are touching, our tight ends are touching, our backs. I think that's one of our strengths, that we have diversity to get the ball everywhere across the board. I think his legs creating plays defensively. We're doing a much better job not getting off the field on third down with the disruption, and to keep covering down with it and not giving up the big chunk plays on defense. That's the other thing we've gotten better at.
Speaking of third downs, offensively, you guys have been lights out on third down. 12 of 16 this week. Improving, you were number one in all of FBS heading into last week's game. You improved your percentage on third downs. How have you been able to have so much flow, which is such an important part of having rhythm on offense?
No doubt, and staying on the field. And you know this, once you get one or even two first downs, your odds of scoring go through the roof. But I think there's two things. One, we emphasize that we put a lot of emphasis on early in the week, not just in the middle of the week on Wednesdays when you're doing. We started on Mondays. We start breaking it down on Sunday. We have a lot of emphasis there. But I think also the ability to run the football and not getting in a lot of truly long yardage situations. We had seven. Now this past week we had 7 short yardages. Now we were able to convert them, which sometimes are the hardest ones to convert. The third and 1 to 2s, because everybody packs the box. But I think the lack of negative plays that we're experiencing on offense, because we're able to run the football. Kellen's not taking sacks. We're getting the ball out, even if it's a 2-yard gain. Our backs are making, to me, a great back, one of the things Spiller does well right now, takes a 2-yard run, makes it a 4-yard run. Every run's not a touchdown. Even a 0-yard gain, it gets to be a 2-yard gain. Now it's 2nd and 8. Then you get 3rd and 4. Well, those are makeable. We're getting in makeable third down situations because a lot of our 1st and 2nd down plays, we're not getting the negative plays, and we're not having a lot of penalties. And I think that's a big part of it. We always talk about third down, but I always say a big part of third down is 1st and 2nd down.
Yeah, we'd be remiss, Coach, not to talk about that offensive line. I mean, they've been tremendous up front. Another week without allowing a sack. Kellen's very rarely pressured and being able to run the football. That group has just been tremendous up front, haven't they?
They really have. Picking up blitzes, communicating, doing that. And part of that, too, is Kellen getting us in the right protections, getting the slides in the right way, and our backs and tight ends chipping, helping, everything that goes on. Our receivers getting the route adjustments into what they have to do if there's blitz packages or things that go on. It's an accumulation, but our offense, it starts with our offensive line, the physicality, like running the football, but they also take a lot of pride in Kellen not getting hit.
Coach, last question for you, and I say this on the heavy heart that Alex Trebek passed away over the weekend, the great Jeopardy host. Which, when it comes down to it, your favorite game show host, is it Trebek or is it somebody different?
Trebek was huge growing up, I grew up with a Bob Barker guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Price is Right was doing my time. You know what I mean? And it was always doing that. But but he is one of the. I think when I think of those guys, there's multiple guys. I mean, back in there. But I always think of Bob Barker and Alex Trebek. To me, are the two guys that jump out because of the longevity.
Okay, all right. So if you were on The Price is Right, what would have been your game? What was the one game that Jimbo Fisher would have dominated when it came down to it?
That well, the one I always liked the most, I don't know if I'd have dominated. The one I liked was the shopping with the prices of things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You had to go over $2.50 or $3. You had to be over or whatever it was on your the price of things at the grocery store.
I love it.
I would have figured you'd have liked the hole-in-one game. I was always hole-in-two if you missed the first one, too. I thought that was
Bob Barker was always a great putter as well, too.
Putter.
Like, you ever saw that one?
I grew up in the country. I didn't go on a golf course until I was about 25 years old. Well, I didn't have money to go to the golf course at the country club.
Well, you can now, but stay off the golf course because what you're doing here at the football facilities is awesome. We appreciate the time, Coach. Best of luck against Tennessee, all right?
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
There it is. Head Coach Jimbo Fisher.
I'm a Plinko guy.
Who doesn't love Plinko?
Plinko's unbelievable.
I swear it would have been one of those things where if I would have had a 10-year, $75 million contract, I might have bought like a real-life Plinko in the Burns household. Just build like the waterfall in the back and just have the Plinko coming down.
They turned that into like a game show in itself, I think, right? Isn't that?
It is one of those.
Yeah.
All right, so hit us up on Twitter. We've been asking that question.